one of the things we can be proud about here in Washington State is we have a long and respectable and respected tradition of trying to protect and preserve our own natural resources. And we have someone here who's in charge of part of that effort. Hedia Adelsman is an executive policy advisor with the Washington Department of Ecology. She has a long and illustrious history in this. And Hedia, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to come today and talk to you about the Department of Ecology, and actually it's a collaborative effort with many other agencies relating to climate adaptation. Somebody? I need help on the... Right. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. You heard already from several speakers before me about the impact, other than ocean acidification, other than CO2, on our shoreline, our shellfish industry, our coastal ecosystem, and so on. What I'm going to do is try to cover really part of that second part. We didn't talk about it today, so it's a little different from what you heard so far. So I'm going to talk about the response strategy that is underway right now, and we hope to have a draft, another draft, at least we had one, by the end of December. There are several things that form the foundation for our strategy. We have the science and a legal framework. In 2007, our governor issued an executive order setting some target for greenhouse gas reduction, but also directing the agency to start looking at what would be the first step to start adapting to the impact of climate change. So we did produce a report at that time, and there were some initial steps. We were not as informed with science that actually came about in 2009. In 2009, the Climate Impact Group, with funding from our legislature in partnership with the various state agencies, put out the 2009 assessment of the climate impact in Washington with a lot of really good information that formed the basis of a lot of what we actually have been working on. From a legal framework, I know we are talking about a lot about greenhouse gas, but the state does have some targets on greenhouse gas, and also dealing with the green economy. There's a lot of effort that is going on right now, the green energy, jobs, and also continuing to reduce our greenhouse gas emission. In 2009, with the climate assessment report out, our legislature enacted what they call the State Agency Climate Leadership Act. The act itself had several provisions, but the most critical one is was directing the Department of Ecology with 6 other state agencies to develop an integrated climate change response strategy. The same year, in 2009, our governor issued another executive order, and part of the executive order, she highlighted specifically the impact of sea level rise and the hydrological changes. Ocean acidification was still in the beginning of that, but it is a very important issue for us. The work of the response strategy is being done in collaboration between several state agencies. I think it's important to name the agencies. We have our Department of Health, Transportation, Commerce, Natural Resources, Fish and Wildlife, Ecology. I don't know if I understand the other ones. I hope not. So anyway, with several agencies that were Department of Health, I think. Agriculture. They will not be happy. So, the 7 agencies worked with 4 advisory groups that involved stakeholders representing various agencies, both at the federal level, state level, but also the industry, nonprofit organization, many others. So we really had an effort for, since the July of 2009, focusing on the development of this strategy itself. So I think you heard already, and I'm not going to really repeat it, I'm just trying to put the response strategy in the context. When we talk about ocean acidification, when we talk about our coastal ecosystem, they're really being hammered, at least by this combined effect. Not only our existing, human-caused stress, sediment, organic matter, nutrient, all the stuff that we human at least are creating through urbanization and development. Climate change, we didn't talk about it a lot today, but there is all the likelihood, we are already seeing the temperature increasing. Sea level rise is going to be a very important impact on Washington. Flooding, beach erosion, others. A lot of those, several of those will actually also be added stress to our shellfish, and will be adding, exacerbate some of the problem from ocean acidification. And of course, you heard about ocean acidification, and Dick Feely did a very good job on ocean acidification 101, and maybe more than that. I wanted just to highlight some of the key goals and strategies that we have in that we have developed. Number one, I think it's very important when we talk about adaptation, it's the same with ocean acidification, that we really integrate them with other goals, that they're not separate out there, that they are part of our environmental protection, our sustainable development, economic growth. I mean, no question we build it, do his presentation to look at the impact of ocean acidification on the economy and potential loss of jobs. Adaptation, and so is anything we're going to do about ocean acidification, which I hope will be a lot of things. It will have to become a standard part of what the agency, when they plan, they make decisions, and provide funding. One of the things that we always bring as an example, we don't want to fund a multi-million-dollar wastewater treatment facility if ultimately it's going to be impacted by sea level rise or some other extreme events. Strengthening our existing effort, and I will go through that a little bit, but you saw at least, Dick Feely had the last slide, he showed an incredible number of statutes, and which are being administered both at the local, tribal, state, many public organization, is how we really strengthen some of these existing efforts that are being implemented to reduce not only the existing stresses, but also to make sure we're reducing vulnerability to climate change. We talked a lot today about communicating the science. I think what made the hardest job with finding is how we take the scientific information and make sure it's communicated and is made accessible to public makers and the public in general in a form that they could use and they could actually relate to something, maybe relating it back to their core activities. I'm not going to go through all of this, but what I wanted just to highlight is, number one, is really when we talk about ocean acidification is to focus on reducing and addressing the many stressors. One of the hardest thing is the fact that we have a lot of fragmentation right now. Things are not really integrated and coordinated. So I think through the effort that we're talking about, that ocean acidification, even climate adaptation, really forces us all to come together and bring these existing laws and tools to make sure that they are coordinated, addressing the problems that not only we have today, but we anticipate coming ahead in the coming years. I listed some initiatives. Of course, a lot of you are aware of what the Future Sun Partnership is doing, and we have stormwater initiative and others. A lot of those are really will help us reduce some of the impacts. Building resilience to climate change in local communities is going to be very critical, and it's one where it does really involve our local jurisdiction, but the local communities, nonprofit organizations really take a lot of us to really try to do this. We talked today, and I'm not going to elaborate on advancing the monitoring of resource. This is going to be very critical. We still need to know more than what we have, but it really is not and should not stop us from really moving ahead and acting at least on what we have in front of us today. So, thank you.